Okay, in this video clip itself, we will go through the first four types of form control. Okay, let's start with the text input. Okay, um, now if you study the code closely, um, in the form control itself, you start with a paragraph control P, and then user and then the input control. So this will give a box of length 30, and then you close the paragraph. Now this will result in having the box in the same line with the username. Okay. Now let's say if you were to uh, shift the closing of the paragraph after the username here, then what essentially it means is that the input box will be on a separate line. Okay, let's save and take a look. Refresh. There it goes. The user input box will be on a separate line from the username. Next, we want to talk about using this placeholder. Okay, now let me replace this form control. Okay, so we are going to use the placeholder here, placeholder for username. Okay, now you will observe what is the effect of this placeholder. Okay, let me save and then refresh. Once the user type in John, his name, the user name will not shown. Okay, the second form control, we will be talking about password input. So essentially, there are actually two inputs here. One is for the username, the other one is for the password. So we are focusing on the password form control. Okay. Um, so the user can enter his name and then key in his password 1234. Now you realize that the password will be actually hidden, but this doesn't mean that the password is sent securely to the server. Now it is still very much readable because it's not encrypted during the transmission to the server. So just because it's hidden away from the screen, it doesn't mean that it is encrypted. Okay. So in order to send password to the server, we certain security measure must be put in place. So for example, you have to configure the server to use the secure socket layer SSL for the transmission, so that this password will be encrypted in the transmission to the server. Okay, the next form control that we'll be dealing with is this text area. Now, you can specify the number of columns and the number of rows for this text area. Okay. Now, I'll take a look at this portion on the enter your command. Now, what will happen is that when the user try to key in his command, um, you will observe that actually this enter your command will still be there. Okay, it will not be overwritten unless he delete it away. Okay, so if you find that this is not too helpful, you can make use of the placeholder, right? Instead of having enter your command, this way you can use a placeholder and require and then insert the enter your command inside the placeholder. Okay, now let's take a look and see what will happen here. Refresh your browser. Okay. Now, same thing, the enter your command still appear within the text area itself. But the moment you key in when the user creates this command, the statement saying enter your the prompt enter your command will disappear. Okay, and then when it's blank again, the prompt for the user to enter the command will appear. Okay, so that is the difference between using a placeholder to insert the prompt and not to use a placeholder. Okay, the fourth form control that we'll be dealing here with this radio button. Now, you should be aware that when you use a radio button, once the user select a particular radio button, it cannot be deselected. Okay, the user can only select another option. Okay, now let me modify the code here without this check equal to check. Control S, and then let's run in the browser. Now you realize that none of these choices, whether it's in rock music, pop music, or jazz, is being selected. Now the moment the user select one of it, for example pop, and then he decide to deselect, you realize that he cannot deselect. He can only change to other selection. Okay, so this is one problem with radio button. Once the user select it, he cannot deselect. Okay, you can actually insert another choice called others. Others, and then make that as a default choice. Control S, and let's run the browser again. So what this means is that the user default choice will be others unless he chooses a favorite to be either rock, pop, or jazz. Okay, so this is one way of using the check equal to check. So by default, a particular option is being selected. Okay, back to the radio button again. Once the user select a radio button, it cannot be deselected. Okay.